We're good. Okay. I'm checking my phone not only because I control the slides by doing that, also because I'm putting in bids for an apartment as we speak. So we'll see how that goes. Also, the transitions are kind of laggy, but you'll have to live with that. My name is Henric Trotzig. I work for a company called Brigade, a San Francisco startup in the political sphere. It's meant to be sort of a LinkedIn for your political views. So people can come together, try to make things happen, try to get the right people elected. We did not do well. And just a platform for change. And I'm here to talk about CSS. And actually, I couldn't have asked for a better segue into my talk, because there was one slide that said, oh, what if there was a script that could do this for you, that could actually check all your components? Well, I'm not going to give too much up now, but I'll show you one. Okay. I should have told you. Yeah, okay, sorry. And if you Google CSS, this is what you get. This is the, what's it called? Anything you Google and you land on this first page on Google search. No, it's W3 schools. Yeah, it's the thing that you should have a Chrome extension that hides, you know? That's the thing. Okay, so this is what they think about CSS. This is a presentation. All right, so that's what I'm going to talk about today. Slide. And CSS code looks like this. You all know this. And we apply it to HTML. And then to make something look, to make something look like that. And then you will think that CSS is magic. That's my first thought when I started doing CSS back in the days. This is magic. I can do whatever, and I couldn't do whatever. I could just do a few things. I could align things with tables and stuff. But it's kind of magic. And so when I started, this was the go-to place for all things CSS. You went to this page and you could click different things that made it look different. And this was how CSS was thought about. You produce a website and you produce the HTML and you keep it completely separated from the CSS. You apply CSS, you make it look good. Well, you can make it look all kinds of way. And so that's CSS Zen Garden. But the web has come a long way since then. Now, most people build applications. You have this application, and it consists of multiple components. And let's say you want to make a change to one of those components. Now, you want to make that thing a different color. But you use, we like our components to be reusable, so we use them in multiple places. So the example Luve gave was the button. I bet their button is all over the website, the application. And so we use it in a lot of places, sometimes even hundreds and thousands. Oops. And manually verifying that your components look good in all these scenarios will take a lot of time. And so as a result, people go to their style guide, if they have one, if they're lucky. They look at the components and go, looks good, let's ship this. And then they ship it, and then it starts looking like this. So we end up with bugs. We end up with bugs in production. And this is where CSS goes from magic to hard. CSS is really hard. I see a lot of new web developers struggle with CSS. I still struggle with CSS. And it's one of the things that a lot of people stay away from because they don't know how to make things look good. It's confusing to write. It's hard to predict the results. And as a result, most people do it through trial and error. And that's fine. So let's see if we can. One of the things that Luve touched upon was the difficulty in knowing what a CSS, the result of a CSS bit of code. So like, what if we have this HTML? Kind of simple. We have this CSS, and then we apply it. And in the back, you can't see the bottom. So I just show a block of CSS and then a block of HTML. You're not meant to parse this in your head and figure out what it looks like, because it's hard. And then we end up with something that looks like a flag. Is that Italy? I think it's Italy. All right. Now, for Chrome, this was done in less than a millisecond. So we're pretty bad at reviewing CSS changes and figuring out what the result will look like. Also, as we all know, CSS changes can have unexpected results. Let's see a show of hands who has ever introduced a bug where CSS or like some element was overflowing to the right. Like most cases, someone adds a really long link, and then suddenly your layout breaks. Your mobile website looks like crap. And some things just slips through the cracks. This is Airbnb China. I'll zoom in so you see better. I'm using Airbnb as an example because my co-creator of the tool that I'm going to present is on the front-end infrastructure team there. Something happened here. This arrow got way pushed down. It was in production for a few hours. Most likely people didn't really notice, but to Airbnb it was a big deal. And this can happen to anyone. Any CSS developer can make these mistakes. This is a king of CSS, by the way. Humans are also notoriously bad at spotting differences. So Louis was saying, just go look at this page and see if some bug was introduced. You say, hey, it looks good, it's all good. This is a friend of mine who does a Christmas or like countdown calendar on leaveastory.com. There are 5 differences between these images. I see one at least. There's a missing whatever on that head. That's the only one I found, and I tried for a while. You might find other things. I'll come back to this, so don't worry about it. I won't leave you hanging. Plus, not only do we have to make sure that the components look good in Chrome, we also have to check all these different screen sizes. And we all know these devices, who's using them and how they're not updated and all of that. So it's a tricky problem. And as pretty much any problem, any hard problem is just slow feedback loops in disguise. I'll read that once again. All hard problems, I didn't actually read it the first time, sorry. All hard problems are just slow feedback loops in disguise. Imagine building an airplane, and let's say you have 5 years till you can actually try this airplane. That's terrible, which might actually be true for airplane developers. But as a web developer, I want my changes to be automatically checked. So shortening this feedback loop is key. Now, a style guide can do that. I'm going to show you this tool that me and a person named Joe Lancioni built. And this is not actually the logo. It might be the logo. I had my friend who did that calendar thing, countdown, draw me a happy hippo yesterday, and that's the outcome. I kind of like it. We'll see. So, whoa, text. Why is there text? Joe, are you looking? I'm sorry about that. It didn't have to say text in front of his mouth. That's Joe Lancioni. He's the Airbnb guy. And I used to work with him. We've been building this tool for a long time. We didn't build it in a day. We probably built it over 2.5 years. We don't spend all our time doing it, but we spend a few hours every now and then. So it's a tried and proven tool, open source tool. And so let's see if we can get this started. Okay. Should I bring the size of that up? Is that good? I'm kind of behind the pillar here. Is it good? Okay, so I'm going to show you, this is a demo project that I built the other day just to demo this, to have this presentation. I also wanted to get some, because I haven't set up Happo in a while, so I wanted to get hands-on with actually like getting this set up. And it's not trivial, but it's kind of easy, and it's good to have. This is all on GitHub, so you can check it out later if you want to get started. There's a example script. I'll show you how I'll show you everything. Okay. So let's see where I should start. Let's start here. Okay, this is the whole like Happo suite. A suite consists of multiple examples of components that we render. In this case, we have a button that says click me, and then we have something that I invented as an action panel. An action panel has a button and some text. Now this is React. I don't know how many people know React. Well, if you don't know React, just pretend this is HTML. And then we have, we also tell Happo what screen sizes we want to take screenshots of. So in this case, we say, I want this to be on a small screen and a large screen. And these are defined somewhere else. So you can dig in to see how big those screens are, but that's basically what it's doing. So we have that. Okay. And I'm going to show, this is all command line stuff. Most of these commands, actually, I want to bring the, okay. Most of these commands you won't actually run while developing locally. You have a script that you run in continuous integration tools like Travis or Jenkins, Circle CI, any tool really where that you already use. And if you're not using one, you should look into it. So let's do this. And this will be fast. So first of all, Happo is just a command line tool. We have a bunch of options that a bunch of commands that we can run. And I'm going to start by, so let's just run debug first. Okay. Debug gives us a full view of all the examples that we have in our suite. So we have the action panel. We can click and open that in a new window. That's how it looks like currently. We have the button component, and it looks like that. I zoomed in a bit, so the button is kind of big. Okay, so that's the debug tool. That's basically what I use most while developing. You can make CSS changes, you can save, you can reload this page, you can check that your changes are doing the right thing. The main tool you're going to run in CI is happo run. Happo run will bring up an instance of Firefox. It'll inject those examples one by one in different screen sizes and take screenshots of them. Okay, and this will be sort of fast, so I hope you'll be able to see it. That's Firefox, resize, and then a few examples. Okay, it's done. I don't think I'm actually over Google Hangout and then screen sharing, so the screen wasn't keeping up with the momentum here. So what did that do? Anytime you run Happo run, you can always do Happo review after. You can bring up this page. Let me zoom out. This is sort of the, let me move that a bit. This is the main review page. This is where the result of your last Happo run are presented. So in this case, we just have 4 new examples. We see the button in a small screen looks exactly like the button in a large screen, so that's not different. The action panel in a small screen and in a large screen down at the bottom. We see that they're different in size. And And so what I want to do now is I want to fix. So we've noticed that there's sort of a bug with this component. I want to align this text with the button. So I want that to be vertically centered, or the vertically aligned. So let's open. Oh wait. This is a CSS file. Ignore the stuff at the top. It's not important. We have the action panel, and then we have the button at the bottom. Yeah.
In this scenario you're going through, are these new components that you've just created and you're visually inspecting them like a star guide, or is this scenario you've broken something that used to be fine?
In this scenario, it's something that I broke. Let's pretend I did. In this case,
by your eye that it's broken. This is not like an automated.
Yeah. No, it's not going to tell you. You have to like actually. Let's say we can pretend that this bug was caught by someone doing a review of all the happo examples. Okay, so let's happo debug again, because I wanna see. I have a theory on how to fix this. We have the action panel. We can look at the whoops. Domain, sorry. There it is. I keep forgetting, or I'm using Flexbox here. I keep forgetting if it's justify content or align items. It's always the other way around. Luckily, I have justify content already. So I think it's align items center. Okay, that looks like it did the right thing. Okay, but that's just the inspector. So let's apply that here. Align items center. Save that file. Just to make sure, I want to restart Webpack. Okay, so now we did the happo run before. Let me bring that up. We have a previous happo run. So the next time we run it, it's going to compare it to the old screenshots. So let's do happo run again. Firefox kicks in. Take screenshots, did not keep up, but we have a diff. Oops. So if we do review again, keep forgetting that. We now have 2 diffs. Now, this looks kind of cryptic, and this is not actually the best example to showcase the diffing mechanisms on this review page. What it actually does is it'll use a smart algorithm to align the before and after image. So if you have content that just shifted, let's say you add padding here at the top and at the bottom, it'll sort of align the 2 images so that the diff shows up in the right place. But since we're now changing stuff in the middle, it's sort of not great. So we can switch to a different view. We can use this side-by-side view. And we can see that, well, that looks good. That definitely fixes the bug. So since I have this on GitHub too, let's write this as a commit. Okay, git commit align items in action panel. Okay, we'll push that to GitHub, and if things work the way I want it to, well, demo gods are happy about this. We're gonna get happo posting the diff to the Travis commit, or sorry, the commit in GitHub. So while I wait for that, let's try out something different. Let's see what we should do. Yeah, we can do this. Oops, that's not what I want. Okay, remember that spot the difference Christmas calendar thing? Okay, So I ran that through I ran that through Happo earlier. I hope the colors are okay here. And it spotted all the differences. See, there's a thing here. There's something on the head. There's this thing here. This sort of gutter will help you figure out where the diffs are too, because this is all in the colors are completely off on this screen, so well, not completely off, but it's highlighted in red. There's something. Where's that? His finger. Holding the spear. Oh, right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, nice. All right, so let's see if Travis did its thing. Okay, here's my commit. Here's, so here's Happo commented on this change. Oh, it actually produced a different result here. Interesting. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Since we're running this, Travis runs Linux, I'm running Mac OS. The differences between the fonts made the text wrap on the smaller component. So that's why we saw a different diff here. But we can see that the alignment was fixed. Now, at my company, any commit that we push will go through a full Happo suite. We have about, I think last time I counted, about 1,000 examples that we run through. And it'll post back a link to one of these pages that you can go into and review. Over the years, we've fought a number of, we've done a lot of hard work to prevent spurious diffs. So things like images not loading. Happo will wait for images to load. Happo will soon, hopefully, wait for background images to work. Happo will wait for other things that can cause spurious diffs. It'll actually turn off all animations so that we won't like snapshot in the middle of a transition. It'll turn off jQuery animations. It'll turn off a lot of things just to make sure that we don't false positive something that shouldn't be a diff. Now, and they sort of, over the years, they've kept popping back up. Like we've had stuff with, there was one version of Firefox that did rounded corners slightly differently for some reason. So we kept having these like spurious things happening. But right now it's pretty stable and pretty happy about that. So let's see. Oops. I think that's about what I want to show you when it comes to Happo. Why am I command tabbing all this? Oh, there we go. All right, let's just. Now, in the pipeline for Happo, this is a side project that I'm doing with Joe mainly. This is not something that we do normally on a regular working day. So it's like sort of like a few hours every week. We're currently looking into performance. It's pretty fast. We have the 1,000 example in our repo, and it takes about 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 30 seconds to run through all of them. But with some new versions of drivers for newer Firefox versions, we can get that down to like 1 minute and 20 seconds or something. So it's gonna get better. Right now, the bigger the screenshot, the slower it'll get. And then Airbnb is looking into doing this for React Native. So not actually screenshotting the examples in the browser, but on a phone or a simulator of some sort. And then everyone, this is the main question we get. Are you only Firefox? Yes, we're only Firefox. We do it in different screen sizes. That's what we do. We don't currently run it through other browsers. You can switch out the browser, but we only directly support Firefox. Chrome has been proven to work in the past, but that's not the main, like, that's not what we run our integration tests on. Okay, so let's summarize this. CSS is hard. Hard problems are slow feedback loops in disguise. And happo shortens that feedback loop. Thank you. All right, any questions? All right, we have one here.
Is this only for component testing, or can you test the entire page?
The question is, yeah. The question is this only for smaller components, or can you test full pages? We mainly see this as a component tester, mostly because of all the spuriousness that might happen on a full page. Happo was previously a project called Diffuse, diff UX, and it was mainly targeted at full page screenshots. And we had to build this whole system around dealing with those like random numbers, a counter here and there, ads, stuff that isn't consistently rendered. And so we moved away from that. We actually do have some full pages in the Brigade test suite, but they're a minority. They're like 4. I would try to stay away from that. Too many of those. We have one here, and then we're going to go back here.
Are you using a third-party diffing engine for images, or is that something that's part of the Habbo project?
The question is, do we use a third-party diffing tool? Yeah, or do we do it ourselves? We've had different approaches to this. A few months ago, we switched from doing the diffing while running the suite into actually doing the diffing in the browser. When I fired up the review page or the diff page, you might have noticed that there was a small progress bar. It didn't really show up though. That's a background, what's it called? Web worker running an algorithm to diff the 2 images. We wrote that ourselves because.
Then what process ran that then posted a comment to GitHub telling you that they were different?
The question is, what process posted that comment to the GitHub? Yeah.
You do it in the browser, which means on demand, but something else was doing it.
Yeah. So yeah, we basically just diff the 2 pixel arrays. If we find a pixel that's complete, yeah, it's just yeah. Actually, well, we just iterate through the array. It's a one-dimensional array. Yeah. So we do that. It's a really fast comparison. So we do the fast comparison, and then when we render the review page, we do a more in-depth sort of helping you. No. No, it's pretty consistent. Firefox is, yeah, it's really consistent in rendering. I had a question over there.
I would assume that it's having some sort of like automatic fail when like an algorithm becomes like a diff becomes too large. It's kind of hard to fix. But is there some way to sort of easily see like how many components have been changed? Because as you said, if you have 1,000 components that have been tested,
yeah.
You only want to review those that have been changed from the previous, because otherwise going through 1,000 components that we review.
Yeah. Yeah. So the question is, do we actually like fail the build from a Happo run? And if so, how do people like override that? We actually don't. All our Happo runs return a 0 exit code, meaning they're successful. If we find diffs, it'll post. We use a code review tool called Garrett. It'll and we will post a comment with a link to all the diffs, and the diffs only show we only show the diffs. Like, so for 1,000 components, if only one changed, it's going to say one diff, and it only show that example. And we also actually, I was going to say we also post in the comment how many diffs there are and how many new examples there are, but we don't actually. We could, but most of the time, people it's a quick check. They see that link, they go to it, and then they check it. We also actually send all of them to design because they're interested in them. I don't know if I saw any more hands. Let's see. Yeah, we have one here and then. Yeah. So the question is, do we have support for WebKit browsers? Oh. If we're planning to support Chrome and other browsers, yeah, I mean, definitely. It's just sort of a matter of prioritization. Right now, to be honest, we've spent the last 3 months rewriting this whole thing in Ruby, from Ruby to JavaScript. It was written in Ruby a while ago, and we've been slowly moving to full-on JavaScript. It was sort of a Ruby JavaScript mix, and now it's all Node and JavaScript. But yeah, and we're definitely open to people trying things out with this, see what they can do. I know that some people run Chrome locally just because it's a little harder. Some people don't have Firefox installed, so you can specify in config what driver you want to use, like Firefox or Chrome. I have a question back here. How do we compare to other visual diffing tools? To be honest, I don't really know because I don't have time to try them out. Back in the days, we used to use something called, it was a Google project. Oh, I can't remember the name. Okay, yeah. Recently, I haven't tried any others. This is what I do. Yeah, go ahead. If there will ever be a visual regression tools for animations, I'd like to see that happen. Yeah, yeah. I see a lot of animation regressions, so a tool to fix those would be great. Okay, we have one here and then maybe there. Okay. Winning the bidding. I did actually see a text message. I'm bidding on an apartment. That's what the phone stopped working because a text message took up all the screen. Okay. No, it's here. We have a question here.
So you're doing visual regression testing, which means you compare against the baseline, which in most scenarios would be like the master branch. So in your workflow, where is the master images location? Is this commit the master images to the repository? Do you push them to S3, or are they just kept on the CI server? And if it reboots, then you have to regenerate the master.
Yeah. So the question is, do we keep a baseline or the sort of the master image for all the snapshots? We don't. We don't keep anything. We throw everything out. And so what we do on every run in CI, we check out the previous commit or the current master or whatever you want to do, some previous state of the application. We run through happo, and then we check out the new commit, run through happo, post the results, throw everything out. That's the main key that this has been a success, because we used to try to keep those master images, and they're a pain because it might differ between different Travis environments. It might differ between different Linux versions. It's just really hard to keep them consistent. It's true. It's true. All right. No more questions. I have a few links. I'll send this out some way so that you should check out this demo if you want to get it started, and then the main project for all the configuration and stuff. All right. Thanks, guys.